And welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. The messages of inspiration and hope is proudly brought to you by the good guys at the 6minutewebinar.com. And you're in for a treat today. We got a young lady is filling in for Charlene, excuse me. Her name is Annalyn Scott. And we've got Christine Hotchkiss with us today. And I'm telling you, when these young ladies reveal some of the things that they do, Annalyn's going to be co-hosting with me, so we're going to talk a little bit about her 1 in 9 Kidney Foundation and the event she's coming up tomorrow. And then we got Christine Hotchkiss on here. Oh my goodness, if you want some stories of hope, you are at the right place. And I can't wait to get started with these young ladies, but we'll be right back right after this brief message.
Hi, and welcome to the Messages of Inspiration and Hope show that's proudly sponsored by the 6-Minute Webinar. Today we have some exciting and very interesting guests, real people just like you and me. Thank you for tuning in. Enjoy the show. Now here's Jim.
And we're back with you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're so appreciative of all the response that we get around the world. And we just want to thank you for sharing our show with others. Some of the great information we have on this show from the great guest is the reason why the show is so popular. And the guests, they deliver so much valuable information. My goodness gracious, we call this show, I refer to it as infotainment, because that's exactly what it is. And I'm going to bring Annalyn Scott up here, and she's a good friend of mine. She's going to be co-hosting with me today, and she's here to make sure I behave myself. So welcome to the show, Annalyn. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for having me today, Jim.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here because the day is a very special day for you. You're a very busy young lady. First of all, I want you to share a little bit about the 1 in 9 Kidney Challenge there at the website.com. 1 in 9 Kidney Challenge.com, please.
Well, I have to say it's so much more than just a nonprofit that I created and run. It hits very close to home. My husband Raymond, as you know, we're the founders of it, and it really stemmed from the journey that we've been on over the past 23 years since his kidneys failed unexpectedly at the age of 29. And so through all the twists and turns and things we've had to experience and learn over the years, we knew that it was time for a change. We don't like the direction this disease is going in and how many people are really impacted. So our mission is to change the trajectory of kidney disease through awareness, prevention, and regenerative medicine, so that people don't have to go through a journey like Raymond. And for those that are in it or may go through it, to give them hope.
Absolutely, because the name 1 in 9, I was kind of surprised. We had you on a previous show that 1 out of 9 people will suffer from kidney disease. I was totally not aware of that at all. And, my goodness gracious. So the information that you have there in the project, in this mission that you're on, is very, very valuable because you start affecting, 1 out of 9 people. That's a large percentage of people.
It is. And again, it's something that really isn't talked about. Some people don't know how prevalent it is. Kidney disease kills more people each year than breast cancer or prostate cancer, but it's not talked about. And a number that was pretty surprising to me recently is that 850 million people worldwide have kidney disease. Whether it's in the US or worldwide, 90% of the people walking around with kidney disease don't know that they have it.
Wow. That's amazing. And Annalyn, your email address, is just annalyn.scott@gmail.com. And, we got a young lady, Christine Hotchkiss. She's waiting back there. I'm going to give her just a few more minutes before I bring her up. I'm going to keep her on coffee break there. If she'll bear with me, I see her smiling at me. So that means I'm still good to go. Because, Annalyn, I want you to share about this event that's coming up tomorrow, and people can watch it online. Is that correct? On the virtual stage?
Yes.
It's watch.showandtell.film. Watch a Dance with Destiny.
Yes. And so I'm so proud of this documentary that we created, A Dance with Destiny. And it really is our dance through this journey. And so we have the global film premiere red carpet event here in Phoenix tomorrow. It's a kind of an exclusive event because, of course, it's also COVID. But folks like yourself and people that are, not here in the Phoenix area are able to watch it remotely. So with the link that's provided here at the bottom, people can go and register and watch the film for free throughout this month. So I'd encourage people to, share it with 9 friends or family members to get this awareness out to them, because you never know, it might save one of their lives.
Oh yeah, you better believe it. And what time is the event tomorrow when it's live? What time does it start?
So tomorrow we're doing a red carpet event at Harkins Theater at 5:45. So like I said, it is, exclusive invite only. But I was pretty excited when you asked me to co-host today, and understand that Christine is here in the Phoenix area as well. So certainly would like to extend, a personal invitation to her. And like I said, this is such a big need worldwide that we wanted to provide this on-demand option for people to watch it at their convenience, wherever they're at in the world, and really be informed and empowered.
Absolutely. And also too, we took the prerogative to introduce Anna Lynn because she's there in Phoenix. Aaron Hymas is the president of E360 TV. That's the broadcast network that we're broadcasting on around the world. And, wanted to get them tuned up because I know them both very well. And I know the kind of heart that Aaron's got, and I know what kind of heart you got. And by the way, is that Raymond around there? Is Raymond home?
No, he had to run to the VA and get some.
Okay. Yeah, I thought you were going to let him.
Maybe he might pop in later. We'll see.
Okay. I thought you was going to, let him use the car. And I didn't know he was going to make him run over there. But I'm really excited about having the opportunity to open the door between Aaron and Anna Lynn. And because as we go and grow, that's what we do. We connect people, like-minded people, and all that. And we have got to bring Christine Hotchkiss up here to the stage. I'm going to push the button, and I'm going to let you welcome her to the show.
Hi. Hey there.
Welcome, Christine. I'm so glad to have you here with us. I've been excited for this conversation.
Me too. I want to mention real quick, Anna Lynn, I actually have a friend. Her name is Dawn Fowler here in the Phoenix area, who's actually going through stage 4 renal kidney failure. You just never know, right?
Yeah. Well, we're a resource for her, so feel free to share my contact information with her. And she would like it, again. I know it's short notice, but if you're free tomorrow night, we'd love to have you. And she is welcome to come as your guest as well. And I understand there's another kidney connection. So I had the opportunity to scroll through. I was looking through some of your podcast episodes.
Okay.
And what a wonderful job what you're doing with Stories of Hope, because now more than ever, people really need to have hope in their lives. They need to hear other people's journeys, their stories, and understand that they can persevere, understand that they're not alone, and that there is hope. And so, who do you think I stumbled across?
Jennifer?
But Tracy.
Tracy.
Yes, who you just interviewed, who's, I know she was talking about, she's sharing a story of hope at stage 5 kidney failure, and she's working on trying to find a living donor as a match for her to donate a kidney. And so I actually even reached out to her prior to this show, and I know she's not in the Phoenix area, but shared the film with her too. And it's just, again, like Jim said, it's all about connections, and you never know. You never know how you can impact someone else's life. And so I really commend you for what you're doing with your podcast. And I loved going through and seeing the varied stories and experiences. And that's got to be so rewarding for you.
It really is. It actually, it helps me with my own personal journey. It helps me realize that you said it early on. My mission is to make sure that people not only have hope, but they don't feel like they're the only ones.
You're exactly right, because earlier, ladies and gentlemen, before we started the show, we were in the back office. I was just visiting with Christine. She says, I don't know how this came about, but thank you so much for inviting me on the show. And I got thinking, I don't know how it came about either, but she's here. And really, that happens a lot because when we started this particular little show, it was back in March of 2020. We were all, down or locked down, and we were counting our toilet paper, sheets and all that stuff, and all the nonsense going on that scared a lot of people. And that was just WRONG, wrong, to scare people. That's not right. Being prudent and being honest is one thing, but scaring people, I'm against that. And my point being is that we started just putting on a webinar series of messages of inspiration and hope. We were on Zoom and Facebook Live. Woo, whoopee. We probably sell, popcorn with that deal. And we just started like that. There wasn't any, master plan. There wasn't anything other than we're just going to get some speakers together and share some messages because we knew it'd be a win-win-win situation. I would get to hear good messages. The people out there would get to hear great messages. And it would also bless a speaker too. And it just grew from there. After about 300 speakers, Tamara Hunter, who knows me very well, she's called me one morning, 5 o'clock on a Saturday morning, because she gets up early and I do too. And she said, Jim, you need to take this to E360 TV. I said, what's that? And she said, it's a live streaming TV show. Oh, okay. Our network. She introduced me to Aaron Hymas, and that's exactly how we got here. So when I tell people we backed into this thing and fell in it, I'm not exaggerating. That's exactly how it happens. And whenever you start helping other good people, connect good people and things like this, things come to you.
They do.
Because Bill Heinrich, one of our executive training directors, I got to give a little plug here for Bill. He's got a free ebook called Clarity Has No Story. And when we say free, it's free. Bill is too busy to go chasing you down to sell you anything else. Trust me on that. But just freebook.me. myfreebook.m as in Mike, E as in Echo. And I tell you right now, he talks all the time about when we were born in this world in survival. And if we're stuck in need and want and all that, we're stuck in the physical. But once we just release it, and say, no matter where I'm at right now, it's a perfect place for me. I'm going to, just love myself and love others. All the barriers just open, fall away. The gates open because now you're in tune with the universe. And I've seen that happen over and over and over again. And we still got a radio show. We've got a little over 6 million downloads now. People ask me how I did it. I don't know. We backed into that thing too. So instead of, looking forward a lot, I ought to start looking in my rear view mirror a little bit because I'm backing in some good things here. But today, Christine, your podcast is called what?
Stories of Hope. And I want to mention really fast, when you talk about how everyone was put, I'll call it a reset button with the 2020 year. Mm-hmm. That is when I began this podcast. April 1st will be my 1-year anniversary. And I too have been very successful with as many guests as you. And then they're in the line of being interviewed. So it turned out to be a blessing in disguise, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, when you back into something good, it just comes together for you. It just, you ladies have heard of that 50-50-90 rule that applies to guys, don't you?
No.
Well, there's a 50-50-90 rule for us guys. I don't know where it came from, but it does exist. I can testify to that. If a guy has a 50-50 shot of going out and doing something right the first time, if he doesn't listen to the wise advice and counsel of his wife, there's a 90% chance he's going to goof it up right out of the gate. Okay. I know that, your guys hadn't, but I've done that. I can honestly say I've done that without any help. I've done it all by myself. That's that 50-50-90 rule. But you just got started like we did here on the webinar series with the, your stories of hope, because that was desperately needed in that time. And it's something that doesn't go out of style.
No, not at all.
How does it make you feel when you have a guest on there? It just, really just makes the guests make the show, really.
They do, but they also make me.
Mm-hmm.
And they're sharing their stories, helping others make them too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm going to be 73 in August, Anna Lynn, and people ask me when I'm going to retire. And I said, are you kidding me? I invite people on the show. They like me and they talk to me. What do I want to retire from that for?
Well, then we have something in common, Jim, because I talk to anybody who will look at me and I'll say hi. And if they don't, then I still said hi. So I love talking to people. I'm not afraid to talk to people at all.
Oh, yeah. That's me and you too. Because, I mean, I first met Anna Lynn, and I got to tell you about her. We were out there in Phoenix. We had a little small group together. We were doing some training. And Anna Lynn got up and started talking about the 1 in 9 Foundation. And you could tell she was just bubbling over from the heart. Everything that she had done and the path her and Raymond took. I mean, they were just starting dating, I think, when he was diagnosed with that. And I'm going to let her tell that side of the story. And I'm thinking, holy enchiladas. So I went around the room to Don McGrath and I told Don, I said, we need to get this lady on our radio show. He says, you're right. Because it just, when someone is so passionate about something and they got a heart where they want to help people, especially with something that's, like kidney disease, for goodness sakes. I mean, it just, it just blew me away. It really did. And Anna Lynn, I want to let you share a little bit about the story about how you not how you met, but you just going with him for a few weeks, weren't it? It's a short time.
Just a few months, 3 months. We met on a blind date. 3 months. I already knew he was a good guy, though. He was I could see really good qualities in him. And I always tease him that he timed it really well because his kidneys failed a week after Valentine's Day. Oh. And Raymond's from Charleston, South Carolina. He knows how to cook. And he made London broil, candied yams, homemade macaroni and cheese, and collard greens. And I was like, oh, I knew he could cook too, Yeah. And but the kidney failure, literally, I mean, it came out of the blue as a surprise to both of us. Year out of the military for him. So he, thought he was really healthy and just really changed the course of his life and my life. And I always have to say, this kind of speaks to his character. When I was bringing him, I picked him up from the hospital, take him home a couple weeks later. He said, I think I'm going to move back to Charleston. And I said, why? He said, you're too young for this, because I'm 6 years younger than him. So I was 23, he was 29. And he said, I know I have a long road ahead of me and you're too young for this. This isn't fair to you. And I looked at him and I said, you're a good man. You don't need to go anywhere. Let's see where our relationship goes.
Yeah, you're a good man. Besides that, you can cook, man. you're already house trained.
And he said, I hope that you would, I would hope that you would say that, but I had to give you an out.
Oh, yeah.
And then ever since, we just locked arms and just keep taking one step at a time.
Absolutely. And we've got to hear some more about your podcast because you're the star of the show here and we're taking up all the time, Christine. So I'm going to let you turn over the mic and, explain to the audience exactly what motivated you, how you got started in this. What was the things that, came into your mind and you started out on that journey, if you would, please.
So we're going to get real, if that's okay. And we're going to get a little deep on the emotions. So anyone that's watching, I'm going to prepare you because this is one topic that not many people are comfortable with. And that's the death of a child.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that started my journey 14 years ago, New Year's Day this past year. My family and I, which we are now broken up because that is what typically happens when there is a loss in the family. We were in a rollover accident and my daughter, who was age 17, Nicole Marie, was ejected from our vehicle. She did not survive. That put me on a whole different journey of life, let me tell you. Emotionally, physically, financially, you name it. But I stand here before you because through the years, even though people would hear me talk about my daughter and say, Christine, you probably should let her rest. You don't tell that to someone who's lost a loved one, child or otherwise. That person is always going to be in our life, regardless if you physically see them.
Oh, yeah.
And one day, God tapped me on the shoulder and said, this is what you're going to do. And I looked at him and I went, do what? Now, I did mention that I can talk to just about anybody, right? But now I'm going to get people to open up and tell me their personal stories. That one I wasn't so sure about. But because I had set myself as an example that you can live life even though something different has happened to you, and that includes loss, then that means other people have stories that probably need to be able to share the same thing and not feel alone and find some healing. And if they're not going through it, the stories can be educational to other people who may come across someone, as it was just talked about with Annalyn on the couple of people that you have already known for me to interview, because it works that way, right? So that's where I got started on my stories of hope, is if I have a story, which I believe everyone has a story, then why not share it to help other people? And it helps you as well.
It really does, because, you know, you might be the only person that can actually reach and touch someone's life. And here recently, a good friend of mine, in fact, I work with him very closely. He says, Jim, you need to get a nice photo behind you for your background, for your green screen, and da 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 da. You ought to make it more like a studio. And I just told him, I said, you know what? That's not me. Because those mountains back there are the Mule Mountains in Bisbee, Arizona, in the Cochise counties, which is south of Tombstone, Arizona. I lived in Bisbee for about 20 years, and I've got a daughter buried there. So, you know, those mountains mean a lot more to me than some fancy-dancy make-believe studio, because that's the real deal for me. It's kind of like that old proverb, you know, sometimes where you stand depends on where you've been forced to sit. You know what I mean? And Annalyn, I tell you right now, listening to Christine talk about her story there, I mean, the thing I love about good storytelling is that we were just like, we'd come up on that scene of the accident, and we could feel, you know, the pain, how she'd been ripped apart and all that. And you get ripped open on all fronts like that. And it's just, you have to go through it. You cannot explain it, but, you know, it was just really, you say your daughter was just 17, huh?
She was a senior at Centennial High School in Peoria, Arizona. And New Year's Day, of all things, right? You think the new year, you begin something with all of what we think we're going to do for the coming year, right? Mine's a bit different. Now, it took me a few years to decipher what I was going to do. And and I had to come back a little bit on this one, because my son's birthday is December 30th. Our accident happened December 31st. Nicole passed away on the 1st. So for a lot of those years, on New Year's Eve, I was sitting, I felt like on a block wall with two different celebrations. But I didn't see them both as celebrations for the first couple of years. I saw one as a celebration and one as the sorrow and the loss, because that's how I felt. But then I started realizing that I'm taking away from my daughter. I'm taking away the memories and the fun that I had with her, and the things that I now can still talk about, and the silliness at that I started realizing that they are both celebrations, because we are all here. That means we were born and we're all going to die, right? So I have a calendar that begins and ends with two different types of celebrations, which I consider life in its entirety.
You know, Annalyn, I have when I think about death and all that, you know, because none of us are going to get out of this world alive. But one thing it gives me hope and joy and jubilee in my heart, and there are some people who disagree with me on this, but I know that I know that I know that I know who I'm going to be, number one. They don't disagree with that now. But what they disagree with is that I'm an animal lover. And I know that I know all the animals and pets that I've had over the years will be there. And because I've read it, you know, it's in the good book, as Mama used to say, from in about 10 or 12 different books, very plainly. And it talks about, you know, how in that day, I see the whole of creation groans with birth pains, and they will be delivered to the children of God. That's in the book of Romans. And so I'm thinking, wow, man, just imagine what a beautiful world this world would be if everyone had the heart of a dog. Woo, wouldn't that be neat? You get rid of half of these scallywags out here.
But we're here for a purpose and a reason. I think this is the life classroom that we're supposed to go through before we graduate.
Yeah. We're here to demonstrate, you know, how we're supposed to use our gifts and our talents to be a blessing to others, and not be focused on what's in it for us.
Right. Absolutely.
You know? And I didn't learn that lesson for a long time. I mean,
Most
I didn't
of
go
us
out,
don't.
you know, I just always thought about the big three, me, myself, and I. I wasn't egotistical. I was just dumb, you know. But Annalyn,
even how society kind of sometimes conditions people to think about that. And so, you know, I think even with as difficult as 2020 was, that was a huge reset button and a shift to really reset our priorities, our values, and to look at how we can be grateful for things and how we rely on one another and not just be in it for me. Like you said, I know at the beginning, a lot of people are hoarding that toilet paper and stuff. But you see also you hear beautiful stories and see things that how people really united and came together, even through all the craziness of 2020. And that's what it's all about, is, looking at something bigger than ourselves.
2020 was also a good year for the internet as far as business, because it made all of us get more in tune with the virtual stage, for example. And the virtual stage is here to stay. And more so than, because people that just live and existed only in the physical stage world, I mean, it's still going to be there, yes. But I mean, the virtual stage is just, it gives you so much more flexibility. I mean, you take, going down to when you go down to get another cup of coffee, all you got to do is step over the dog or the cat, and that's the only traffic you got, right?
Jim,
technology that brings the three of us here together.
Yeah.
It makes the world a smaller place. I was on a International Women's Day event, and there were women from all around the world, and it was just beautiful to have, these to find common ground and be able to come together and share great ideas and information with one another. So, and I think. And you can probably really relate to this, Christine. Like, we've all been through things that aren't always easy, but there's purpose behind it.
Right. And if you're willing to see it,
you have to see it. And I think what I've been sensing for so long is we have to shine our lights brighter than ever before in this dark world, and to help others, even through tragedy and things. We can still find that light and help share that. And you're definitely living that. And I'm just looking at you here, and you don't look like what you've been through at all.
Isn't that funny that people would assume, and goes with your husband as well. And Jim, I want to make note of something too. You said you have a child that's buried also, so you understand. And I want to acknowledge that as well, because it is important to us, even though we walk around, like you just said, oh, you don't look like you lost a child. Oh, you don't look like you are sick. Oh, you don't look like, I think that goes with that cliche that don't judge a book by its cover because you don't know the pages inside, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And the thing too, I got to tell a little story, and I've told this on a couple other shows, folks, so please bear with me. I was coming back from Phoenix, and Adeline knows me very well. She knows I've got a sense of humor, and some people think it's a lack of sense. And I saw these roads billboard signs, about 4 or 5 in a row as you're traveling about 20 miles, stop at this place, family business. And on the top, on each one of the billboards, it had clean restrooms. So I, exited off there and used the restroom and got me something to eat and came up there and paid for it and all. And this lady was there, and I says, ma'am, I want to thank you for having a nice, clean place like this. And said, oh, well, thank you so much. Me and my husband on it. I says, there's one thing that I did not do while I was here. She said, what's that? I said, oh, your signs out there told me to clean the restrooms when I got here, and I didn't do that. So I'm kind of in a hurry. So, and she cracked up laughing. Then she said something very, very, kind of hit me. She says, I want to thank you for that laugh. She says, I haven't had a good laugh in weeks.
Oh.
And I thought, wow. And here I just try, break the boredom of driving, because I go 2.5, 3 hours, without stopping for anything. Put it on cruise, turn on the radio, and just let it gallop, But I was just, just being, my warped sense of humor. And it just goes to show you how something is insignificant, little bitty like that, giving someone a little humor in their life. Oh my goodness gracious, because laughter is good for us.
Absolutely.
It has a lot of healing properties, and my goodness, I found something on you, young lady. I'm going to have to show that right now.
Which young lady? There's 2 of us.
Anchor F. Oh, yeah. I pointed you, Christine.
Oh.
Anchor FM, the stories of hope. Is that where your podcast is?
That's the platform, but it's actually found on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and
Oh,
on,
yeah.
yeah.
You know
And
how
it's
all that
growing,
happens.
by the way. I just
You
can't
know
share
how
what
all
else
that
is
happens,
going.
don't you? You know
Do
how
tell.
all that happens? Okay.
Mm-mm.
What happens was that after we, on our podcast, which is a live radio show converted to a podcast, we were automatically put on iTunes, and then we got on Spotify and Google Podcast, Anchor FM. I mean, not Anchor FM, excuse me, Amazon and Audible. And then all of a sudden, there's about all these other little podcasts that pop up I've never heard of, like Radio Public, Altel or something like that. I mean, just a bunch of them. I'm going like, where did they come from? And where they come from is they go to the bigger podcast, and if they see the same shows on there, and wow, these guys got to be good. So they do what's called harvest. So as you go and grow, you're going to see your show's going to get harvested by other ones. And you know Dr. Karen Perkins, Annalyn, right? You know her?
I don't believe so.
Okay. She's a real good friend of mine, and she was on my 9th episode. Get my 5 and 4 fingers up there. Number 9, because we're still trying to figure out how to spell Your Future Is Now. And I've always been focused on providing a good quality show, because we were on it from 2005 to 2014, and we walked away from it, got tired, and we were cranking out then about 2 million downloads a month. And she called me up last year, and she says, "Hey, my sister heard me on the radio." I said, "Well, that's nice." She said, "The problem was I wasn't on the radio." I said, "Well, where were you?" She says, "My sister lives in Utah. There's a station out there, a big news station or whatever, called KSL. And they actually picked up my little show, my nice show, and they were playing it on a Friday night. And her sister heard it, and she thought she was live on the radio." And I thought, wow. I said, so I wrote them. I said, "If you want any more, let me know. I got 5 or 6 back here collecting dust."
I'm up for it too.
Yeah, I hear you. But it took me by eyes. And, but here again, like I humbly say, it's because I had Dr. Karen Perkins on the show. I mean, her name, she's got clout. She had a lot of credibility about her. She provided great infotainment. All I did was just sit there. We'll be right back right after this brief message. That's about the only thing I could help her with. And it just goes to show you whenever you're reaching out, and like in your case, Anchor FM is your base that you broadcast from. When you start hitting people and touching people's hearts, that's when things are just going to open up. And in other words, it's going to pull you along. It really will. And Annalyn, I know you've seen that a lot with 1 in 9 kidney challenge, because there's been some big doors open for you. You go like, wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's because it's so much bigger than us.
Yes.
Agree. Mm-hmm.
When on my manufacturing business, I used to get up early and I work late and work on weekends, all for the same amount of money. And I was always caught up in what can I do? I was always caught up in the physical. And I tell you right now, if you're out there and you're living that kind of a life, you will feel every day of your life like you're pushing a chain uphill. So give it up. Just get off that train. You don't have to go down the track any further. You just get off of it and get out of the physical as far as need and want and what can I do? And, ask yourself, what can you do for others? That's when your vision gets long-term. That's when you get in tune with the universe. And that's when, the chain will start pulling you instead of you pushing it uphill. I mean, I've seen that in my life very, very plainly, And that's one thing I always share with people. And I imagine with your stories of hope, Christine, my goodness gracious, you've probably seen some shocking moments. You've seen some mountains get moved.
I've actually, and
ahead,
I've
please.
had people cry, and I've cried.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
That's why these glasses get dark in case I start crying, because I get plumb ugly when I cry.
So I'm curious, Christine, is there any one story that really just jumps out of all the stories of hope that you've shared over time that really has just stuck with you?
Oh boy, I've done at least 300. So I have to pick one. They're all such great moving stories, from cancer to accidents to surviving something. I have to think here. Let's say I have a gentleman who at the age of a teenage age, he was at a campsite with his buddies, and we know teenagers. This is a story he shares. Is he's out there sharing water bottles. Well, summer camp came and went, and he got sick. And what came down to it was he had contracted meningitis, a bacterial meningitis rather. And as time went on, he ended up losing his limbs. And he had to learn a new norm. I always say norm with the quotations because everyone's got a different norm, right? There's not that word that says, this is normal. No, this is a new normal, whether it's the year or it's the people or situations. And this gentleman, further in his life, he's now in his 30s, has become a 2-time gold medalist, Olympic gold medalist for rugby. Wheelchair rugby. Now try and figure that one out.
Yeah, because that's a rough game. My goodness gracious.
Well, then now think about it too. How is he doing that when he lost his legs and his arms? Now he lost them from the forearm down. So still, how is he doing this? But it goes to show you that, and there's a lot of other amazing stories. It goes to show you that if you're really determined to do something that you want to do, whether you want to be norm or the new norm, you can do it. You can do it. And that's kind of part of why I'm doing what I'm doing too. So it's not just survival of something, it's what are you doing with it too? And I mean, like I said, there's at least 300 stories I could go on. What that one comes to my mind at this very moment.
I can tell you already, Christine, that you being here, and same with Annalyn, both of you ladies, there's people, other hosts that watch the show. And trust me on this, if you're a host and you're wanting to have, good guests on, Annalyn and Christine will definitely make you look good. I am living testament of that right here. But Christine, I'd like to ask you one question. If someone is out there and they've been thinking about sharing their story of hope, how could they can get in touch with you there by your email, of course, but what are you kind of looking for there when someone wants to come on your show? And because not everybody's a good fit for a show, because like I have some people want to come on here and be salespeople, and this is about messages of inspiration and hope, so it's you know what I mean. But when someone's looking, go ahead, please.
Thank you for asking that question, because actually I didn't realize that when you say, hey, everyone has a story, well, what exactly are you looking for as a story? And like you said, not every story is something that can be told. I actually had a challenge. I'll go back on a story just recently where a gentleman, this is pretty amazing. He is the age of 60. At 51, he lost his eyesight. He had a stroke and it resulted in him losing his eyesight, which that means he lost a lot of his freedoms, right? That we would consider driving, you name it, that we take for granted. And so I thought that was the story that I was going to air. And it turned into me asking the question of, well, he got his associate's degree. Now he's blind and he got his associate's degree. And I was like, wow, that's awesome. Then it proceeds to go for more. And he says, I asked him why. I said, why did you decide to get an associate's degree? He says, oh, I could sit around and get disability, but that's not who I am. I want to do more and share that there's more to do in life than just sit around and collect on a disability. And I was like, okay. He says, but there's another part of it. And I said, do tell. And he says, well, in 1999, my daughter was brutally murdered. He says, I want to be able to help on the crisis line for people who need help in a situation such as this. And he actually knows who the person was that did this. And that's even heavier. So these stories vary. I started out as one, it turned into another, all with one person. But in the end, it was a complete story that changed me, as each story does. But it also changes everyone else that he's going to touch being on a crisis line. And he didn't look at his disabilities as a disability, but a different ability. So as far as your question goes, if you have a story that you feel that would help someone, sharing it will help them heal, maybe educate people that don't know. There are certain things that are out there. I've seen and heard that as well. Or just because you feel that you just don't want someone else to feel alone, and give them that hope that they don't have to feel like they're the only ones walking their journey.
Yeah. You know, one of the things that's shocked me back when we started that webinar series and here on the TV show as well, the number of ladies that come on and they talk about their lives with their family. Growing up, some were abused sexually, and some were, just come up in dysfunctional families. You're no good. You're dumb in a box of rocks, and that sort of thing. And I'm thinking, like, man, I'm at a loss for words, because growing up in North Carolina on a farm, I mean, the only trouble I got into was self-inflicted. And it's like my dad used to tell me, son, that looks like a good way to skin your ignorance. And he was right. But I mean, the thing I'm trying to say is that I was brought up at a time when, I didn't see any of that. And I can't imagine any poor young lady going through that, being grown up, going through that as they grow up. Even Charlene Fouts, I don't think Charlene would mind me saying this. She normally co-hosts with me. She's in training right now because she's a trainer for an airline. But all of the sexual trauma she went through. And what really blows me away about all of these ladies, when they have the courage to say, that happened to me, but that's not who I am inside. And they come from love and they come from a heart, and they're going to talk about how they can be a blessing to others. There's something very, very special that you'll see in every single one of them. You will see a light in their eyes, joy and jubilee in their heart. And ladies and gentlemen, that's something money can't buy. That's absolutely priceless. And I'm going like, and here I was, praying like a nun at confession. I could pass a test, an English test in school, and the dumb things I did at school, and life growing up to get in trouble, but when I see people like that have overcome so much trauma in their life, but it doesn't scar them as far as stopping them. Yes, they got their wounds. Yes, they earned their stripes, is what I like to say, because I'm a retired master sergeant and I'm a Vietnam veteran for years. I didn't even mention decades. I didn't even mention Vietnam, because what for, And my point being is that when I hear someone like that, that's able to tell their story and have a light in their eyes, I got to tip my hat to them. I mean, I just really, the courage, the strength. I mean, it's kind of like, whoa, it blows me away. It truly, truly does. And Annalyn, I really admire you, because you being a young lady, you've been going with this guy for 3 months just because he was house training and cook. You say, hey, I'm gonna get my ball and chain on this boy. But it's really, it's really amazing how, the things like that people can overcome and reach out and touch and says, so what? This is not going to stop me from helping others, because I just, that's what we're here for. That's why your show is so successful, Christine. And that's why this show got invited to E360 TV. I mean, we're just the avenues to allow the information to flow. That's it.
Jim, can I add something as well?
Sure, please do.
So I don't just interview people with their personal stories. I actually interview people that have organizations like Annalyn. Why? Because there's a story as to why those foundations were founded, right? So what better way than to get that information and as a resource than interview those people who said, this is what happened and this is what I want to do to help others. I say that also because I also have a nonprofit called Remember Me Always, and that's based on my story as well. And what I do is I help with in the moment necessities needed when putting a loved one to rest, because I didn't have that. So I interview personal stories and organizations like Annalyn, and I've had the privilege of talking to the Phoenix Children's Hospital. The list goes on. So no matter how small or how big, every story matters, right?
They do.
It's really amazing, because every story does matter, because every story can reach somebody.
Yes.
And that's what it's all about. And Annalyn, I tell you, it's the 1 in 9 kidney challenge that you and Raymond started. You've touched a lot of lives there, haven't you? With your education and support.
But we have an obligation to reach so many more.
Oh, yeah.
So that really drives us. I can see with the things that we've been through, I could say, hey, it's a good thing I've got my husband here, but it's and we've defied the odds, but it's so much more. I want other wives to have their husbands here. I want other mothers to have their children here. I want, families to be able to change the trajectory of this in their generations, in communities. And it really comes back to awareness. So March is Kidney Disease Awareness Month, but we're raising awareness all the time. It doesn't just have to be March.
Just a month, yeah.
In fact, I know Christine, in the interview that you did with Tracy, she shared that she had struggled with uncontrolled hypertension for years, and that was the cause of her kidney disease, and now at stage 5 kidney failure.
And she didn't know she had it either, like you mentioned early on.
Yeah, most people don't. And hypertension is the second leading cause, only second to diabetes. So as we're seeing diabetes and high blood pressure increase, we're seeing kidney disease increase. And they're both very silent. All 3 of them are very silent diseases, if there really aren't symptoms. And so people are caught off guard. And so that's, again, like you said, Jim, and we have so many more people to reach. And I think the earlier they can find out, the better. Even, and hopefully catching people that are just have risk factors and can even reverse some of those risk factors so that they don't have to go down this road that some people think is just inevitable. Well, it's happened. This just runs in my family. Or this has just happened here. And don't get me wrong, and I don't ever want to minimize. There are people that have different types of kidney disease that are genetic, that are hereditary. But by far, like 2/3 of the people with kidney disease and kidney failure is due to diabetes and high blood pressure. And so with that knowledge, there's power to give people, have them keep their kidneys and not have to go through I remember Tracy saying just how tired she can get. And I've seen that firsthand with my husband. And just to give people the quality of life. But it was encouraging to hear her story. And it again is so typical of what we hear all the time. But it was really inspiring to hear how she said, well, what can I do? Like, what can I do to make the best of this and help others? And yeah, so she's got that strength too. Somehow, when you get into whether it's a chronic illness or the, God forbid, I mean, the loss of a child, you never think, if that were to happen to me, how can I have the strength? But somehow we're given that strength to keep moving forward. And I just have to say, Christine, what a beautiful legacy that you've left, not just for your daughter, but for your entire family.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That means a lot to me. Every once in a while, I think to myself, if I could talk to that one person, we've already heard that, if you could talk to anybody, dead or alive, who would it be? And I think to myself, well, do I want to talk to someone live and then get some information and get some insight on things that I have questions about in life? Or do I want to go back into what I can't change? But the one thing I do wonder is, am I making, I'm mom, but am I making my daughter proud? Because it's important to me. So thank you.
Yeah.
You truly are. You truly are.
You definitely are.
Yes.
You definitely are, because I salute you, because number one, you're not just sitting there in suffering alone. You're sharing, how you feel, and people can, travel along with you on that journey, and you're leaving a legacy for your family and in honor of your daughter. I mean, she'd be plumb proud of you.
I think she's
plumb proud of you.
Well, and she's a redhead, or she was a redhead. In my mind, she'll always be. And I think that's the part that still gets my butt out of bed. to remind me I have a mission to continue on. And so I do.
Yeah.
And that's my purpose and my mission is being driven to make a difference in this world. And, as I grew up, I was told, Christine, you talk too much. It's working out for me now.
Yeah.
God was preparing you. You just didn't notice.
Or the fact that I asked too many questions. It's working out for me now.
See, they didn't realize that you had your marching orders came from a higher source. That's what it was, young lady. That's it in a nutshell. And
then there's the third one.
Okay.
The third one is, Christine, you can't save the world. I'm doing it one person at a time.
I mean to tell you, I like that. I really do, because having the courage to step out and just be yourself. I mean, oh goodness, no matter what it is in your life, if you're going to be if you're going to grow tomatoes, be the best tomato grower in the county. I'll tell you, it's just put your heart into it. I mean, it's that to me is what makes life worth living. It's being able to do what it is you want to do and do it wholly. And I just made a comment we had Angel Marie Monticelli on the show yesterday. And when I had Aaron Hymas on the show, the president of E360 last week, this little earpiece keeps popping out. This one size fits all does not work with my ears. But anyway, excuse me. I just told him about, Angel Marie Monticelli. We played the commercial, and oh my goodness gracious. I said, hey, if you need an event coordinator this year, and it just blew her away. And she called me up and thanked me. I said, well, at the time, I just say what I think. I really do. It just came out. And all I did was tell the truth. But it just kind of blew her away. And it amazes me how little things like that, you can reach out and touch someone and make a difference where they really appreciate it. Because like I tell people, no matter where you go in the world, I've been in third world countries and things like that. I served in Vietnam and been, travel a little bit, you might say. People are the same everywhere they go. They really, truly are. They all want to be liked. They all want to be loved. They all want to be appreciated, and all of them want to be respected. And they all want to be left alone from outside forces.
They all want to matter. They really do. We've heard, and we won't go on the what lives matter, but we all want to know that we matter.
Oh, yeah, sure we do. We're social creatures. I mean, if it's important to recognize a person for who they are and just say, many times, like the day I stopped by, I just sent a message to Dr. Grant. We've had him on. He's a Canadian doctor. And we had him on a couple weeks ago or something like that. And I sent him a simple message. And it simply just said, hello there, you handsome rascal. How are you doing today? You behaving yourself? Hope you have a good one. And I was gone, And he sent me back, big laugh and all that. Appreciate it, because it's kind of nice sometimes to just get something that's a little bit on the light side. Might put a smile on someone's face, because remember, laughter is some of the best medicine you can give yourself.
You betcha.
Oh, yeah. He was talking about all the endorphins in the brain. He said, puts a lot of endorphins in your brain. That's why I got a lot of room up there for them. I could probably take a bushel or two of those things. But Anna Lynn, I tell you, being with us today, my goodness gracious, you're again, please, let me pull this up here. Please share what's going on tomorrow, the red carpet event, if you'd be so kind to.
Yeah, so we have our red carpet screening at Harkins Theater tomorrow, which we'll be filming, and just so special to us that we've been working on this documentary for a while, and but again, you don't have to be in the Phoenix area or there for the red carpet, and you can click on or go to the link here, the watch.showandtell.film/watch/A Dance with Destiny. And you can watch it on demand. And like I said, please share it with, I'm sure as you're watching this, you're going to automatically start thinking of people. Well, that's the feedback we've been getting from so many folks. They're like, oh my goodness, I've never even thought about my own kidneys. I need to go get my own kidneys checked. And then saying, I have to share this with my parents, or I need to share this with, and they would start naming off names.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's really the power there is just thinking of others and getting
Mm-hmm.
this out. That's why we wanted to share the film for free and get the message out there, get the conversation really going. So I encourage the listeners here to, take advantage of that opportunity. It's available on demand for free this month, and would love to even hear back from you as to, what were some of your biggest ahas, or how did the film impact you? And you can like and follow us at 1 in 9 Challenge on Facebook, and love to hear from you.
Well, thank you so much. And that Dance with Destiny, I mean, Raymond was with Dancing with the Stars, wasn't he?
Yes, so he did Dancing with the Stars Arizona. 18 years. So it was back in 2016. Their 10th this gala. And
that's
it was
amazing.
18 years to the exact day that it failed. It didn't look like what we went through.
Oh, yeah. And I tell you, it's just really amazing, to sit. I enjoyed watching him dance and all that. And I mean, he was just like, he was getting with the program, I mean, he was just, I was teasing someone. I said, I used to like to dance disco. This is back when I was young and good looking, or at least young anyway. And I tell him disco here and disco there, just go with the flow. And Christine, I want to ask you a question. We're getting close to the end of the show here. And what message would you like to leave with our audience today?
You know what's funny? I asked that question to every one of my guests. And I don't really know what I'm going to say. No, I'm just kidding. My message that I want to leave is that no matter what you're going through, you're not the only one. When you feel like you're down, get back up and keep going. Don't quit. And just because something different has happened to you, you don't have to be treated differently, act differently, or live differently. And if you follow me on Facebook, you'll see I live life to the fullest. And some people think I have like some tour bus, and I don't. I'm just taking every opportunity because I don't know when my last day is. And like Annalyn said, the legacy, I'm leaving another legacy. It's how much life I was living while I was given that, right?
Oh, yeah.
So that's mine.
Absolutely. I like that. That's a good philosophy because, I mean, just put it in gear and let it go,
Oh, and I do.
Oh, yeah. I tell you, Annalyn, when I think about what you have done and what Christine has done, and both of you are continuing to doing, and I look at myself and I think all I do is just sit here, 1 hour a day. I put on 6 live shows a week, 6 guests. Used to have 9 guests a week. Boy, that'll wear you. Yeah. There's a lot to keep up with, and a lot of stuff you can lose in the process. But, doing this and providing the avenue, that's my calling, because I don't have any, stories really other than, dumb luck when I back into things, that sort of thing. But being able to be an avenue to help people get their voice out to others and get a chance like this right here to introduce you two folks. And you're right there in Phoenix.
That is the craziest thing ever. So I have to say, Annalyn, I'd love to have you as one of my guests. And I also want to mention to you, Jim, I'm a stickler for names, especially when it's our loved ones. What is your daughter's name?
Christina.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Christina.
Oh, it's Christina. I thought you were calling me Christina because I get called that. Wow.
Yeah.
I feel extra special right now.
I tell you, it's because that's. I wonder why you asked that, because I thought, well, okay, and it took me a little while because it, that's quite all right. Because can you hear me? Hey, I can hear you. I'm trying to get my brain and my tongue coordinated here.
Well, I'm thinking this whole time I've been called Christine, but I've heard people turn around and accidentally call me Christina. So I thought maybe there was something wrong with our video. And you were like, Christina? And I was like, wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I love how these things work out for me. I get to see a lot of full circles, and I get to meet a lot of stories I'm supposed to hear, like both of yours. So thank you both.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
And Annalyn, thank you for filling in for Charlene today. We're so glad you're here. We're so glad you brought your story about the red carpet and all that. And all these websites there, like Anchor.fm/stories of hope. Christine's, podcast. All of this will be in the description of the show. And we're just over 1 hour and they're about ready to pull my plug. So I guess I better sign off. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for tuning in. We want to thank you for sharing the show. Be sure and let others know about these two wonderful ladies' missions, the legacies they're leaving and all that. Get in touch with them. Most importantly, thank you again for tuning in. Be sure and share it with others because there's someone out there that really needs to hear this message. On behalf of Christine, Anna Lynn, I'm Jim Grant. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Take care.